Hello and welcome to Views on News. I am Jawad. Tehami. Millions of Indians went to the polls in the third of the seventh phase general elections for the lower house of the parliament that is called as Lok Sabha in India on 93 seats of 543 in total. 1,351 candidates vied for the membership of the lower house of the parliament in 11 different states. Overall, there are 543 seats and 969 million registered voters are eligible to cast their votes. Now, the first two phases happened, one on April the 9th and the second happened on 26th of April. There are two major alliances which are facing off each other in this particular hotly contested general election for the Lok Sabha in India. The first is the National Democratic Alliance, which is of course led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Bharatiya Janata Party. The other is India, that stands for India National Development Inclusive Alliance. There has been an observation regarding as to the lower turnout when we talk about the first two phases of this Lok Sabha elections. Also, since BJP came into power back in 2014 and then also getting re-elected in the general elections back in 2019, minorities in particular and the press freedom has been under continuous attack because the BJP's policies had been driven by ultra-nationalism and Hindutva also. Now, when we talk about this time around, the Bharatiya Janata Party's campaign, the electoral campaign has been based on anti-Muslim hate speech and narrative. We've also seen multiple videos circulating from the handles of Bharatiya Janata Party on various social media platforms targeting specifically its main opposition party, the Congress, of showing that Congress has benefited the minority of Muslims in India in various aspects. Also, most recently, we have seen the publication of the World Press Freedom Index, and it has ranked India. India has lost 2 places in it. And also, there is something that I would like to quote from this particular index about the state of affairs for the journalist community in India under the Bharatiya Janata Party's rule since 2014. With violence against journalists, highly concentrated media ownership and political alignment, press freedom is in crisis in the world's largest democracy, ruled since 2014 by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, leader of the Bharatiya Janata Party and embodiment of the Hindu nationalist right RSF state, while this particular data was released. Now, we'll be talking specifically about what is expected as the outcome of this particular general election for the Lok Sabha in India. How many chances are there that this time around the Bharatiya Janata Party, which is led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, which is eyeing for a third consecutive victory, are there high chances of their getting re-elected, also coming into power? If yes, if there are high chances, what are going to be the consequences and repercussions as far as the regional stability is concerned, as far as Pak-India relationship is concerned, and also the kind of state of affairs the minorities within India would have to face. Also, the kind of plight the innocent people in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir since the revocation of Article 370 had been going through. And are there any chances, if any, that the opposition alliance, India, led by Indian National Congress, is it going to have any chance to give a tough time this time around to the Bharatiya Janata Party-led alliance? Let me bring in quickly our esteemed panel of guests joining in the studio. Dr. Waleed Rasool, international relations expert. Dr. Rasool, thank you very much for your time, for being with us on the show tonight. Really appreciate that. Also in the studio, we are honored to have been joined by Mr. Altaf Hussain. Wani is Chairman, Kashmir Institute of International Relations. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Wani, for being with us on the show tonight. Really appreciate that. Also on Skype, we are honored to have been joined by Dr. Qamar Cheema. He is Foreign Affairs expert. Dr. Cheema, thank you very much for your time, also for being with us on the show tonight. Really appreciate that. Let me begin the discussion with you, Dr. Rasool. Now, looking at the first two phases, and this time around the third phase, what has been the general observation regarding as to the turnout of this particular three phases that have already happened?
If you will go the experience of the past two phases, it seems that there is a consistency in certain things. For example, there have been 5 slogans. If a data analysis was carried of rather than 20 million people, the major narrative which has been dominant during these elections were not on the basis of the development as the data is released. It was first the data analysis says 62% anti-China, 36% anti-Pakistan, and just 5% anti-opposition. And there is no development-driven election campaign. It depicts where BJP stands and what is his modus operandi, which she wants to get dividend on the polling booth. It is evident because data is huge and analysis can be perfect. Number 2, out of 543 seats, 272 seats are required to get back to power. And as per the same data revealed, on 100 seats there is no possibility that BJP will win. And on 114 seats by different analysts who collected the data, BJP is comfortable. And there is a tussle on 200 seats between the NDA alliance and the Indian alliance. So there is possibility as predicted by the data, it cannot be final that BJP may come back to the power on the third time. Now, what the modus operandi and their strategy to come to the power is the same what has been seen in 2 previous elections. That is to focus on majoritarianism, and to cash the hatred on the polling booth.
As far as Dr. Rasool, as far as their campaign back in 2019 and back in 2014 is concerned, if you compare the campaigns in those 2 elections to the campaign they went with this time around, which of the campaigns do you think had more weight?
Definitely, as per as data is concerned, number 1 was the major tweets which has been circulated through the social media outlets of the BJP, says that it was against China hatred again and followed by the Pakistan. And third, when you see about what they are claiming about the development, but that was not the narrative in the elections. Narrative was anti-China and anti-Pakistan and anti-minorities. And third was the fourth line was the against what they are opposing, the opposition against the India alliance. So one can reveal easily that BJP's strategic there is no any strategic shift in the election campaign, but they are comfortable on the same lines how they have won previous 2 elections.
Right, Mr. Wani, if you allow me, let me proceed towards first Dr. Cheema. Dr. Cheema, this time around, the voter turnout has been observed to be lower as compared to the previous 2 elections. Any specific reasons do you think are associated with that?
Can you please come again? Repeat the question.
This time around, the first 2 phases, a relatively lower turnout has been witnessed. Is there any specific reason, do you understand, is associated with that?
Well, I think as you rightly mentioned, the voter turnout at this time is about 66%, something around that in first 2 cases. Normally back in 2019, the voter turnout was more than 69%. So even today, we were having the information which was being shared, the voter turnout was about 50%. So the overall trend in 3 phases in the entire country is there. And we can relate it to one of the issue might be the rising temperature. At many places, the temperature is 40%. Secondly, in this part of the world where we are living, one thing could be that normally the voters are asked to come out on their own. And if they are asked to come on their own, they may not come because it costs them a lot. So the political class may need to bring them out. And one of the things which we are seeing in BJP is that they are overconfident. They are saying that we have done so much work for the India that the Indian people need to come out on their own. So, for example, the BJP's Minister for Transport, I think Nitish Kumar, if I'm not wrong, he was of the view that I will not ask the people to come and vote for me. So it seems that this is one of the reasons that because of the poverty, because of the factors of regarding heat, and then it seems that they're overconfident that the voters should come out on their own. This may be one of the reasons. And then at the end of the day, the temperature is very charged. The political temperature is very charged, where, for instance, this Hindu-Muslim politics is being seen in the political campaigns, and particularly the social media platforms. We are seeing.
Dr. Cheema, I seek your pardon for the interjection over here. As you already mentioned, the prime reason with the lower turnout in the first 3 phases, what has been observed so far, the rise in temperature, that particular temperature. On the other side, you say that the political temperature or the political climate is very much heated up. It's on the rise. So which temperature out of the two should be, or ideally it should supersede the other? If the political temperature, based on that very division between Muslims and Hindus within India, based on that very narrative that has been built by Bharatiya Janata Party, so shouldn't that be superseding the physical rise in temperature, ideally so?
You have a point, but you are right on this, because people do not like this politics of hate to be in 21st century. So even today, in one of the rallies, Prime Minister Modi is talking about vote jihad. So I think these kind of the statements which are coming from the top BJP leaders, obviously they are forcing, or they are making people to think that that's not how the political class should talk. This is not how they should talk. They need to talk about the issues of the people. So although Prime Minister Modi gave an interview just yesterday, so he says that we respect Muslims and all that, but the way he's talking about Muslims, I think that scares majority of the 14% Muslims in India. So in my understanding, the political temperature that is coming from the BJP, that basically maybe scaring people not to come out in big number, or it can create chaos. We have seen areas like Manipur where there have been issues and people have not come the way they should have come. So even the places like Kashmir will not see the voter turnout. So overall, the quality of politics, the quality of the content coming from the political class, particularly the ruling party BJP, may be making a case for people not to participate in big number.
Okay, so there's been a considerable rise in the number of the registered voters this term. 969 million voters are eligible to cast their votes. This is being considered as one of the biggest democratic exercises in the world's history. So compared with the addition of the number of new voters this time around as compared to the previous one, the lower turnout. Now what has been observed till so far, if this particular trend of the lower turnout continues in the next phases also, this low turnout favors whom? The Bharatiya Janata Party alliance or the other one?
I believe the other parties, they will be in favor of that. They will get a favor out of this. Remember, the new voters who are of age 18, they are about 20 million people. So young voters, those who are registered and they are of age 18, 19. The voters, those who are above 85, they are also more than 10 million. So the point here is that they may not be in a position to vote, but technically speaking, it seems that the BJP may not win the number 370, which they are asking for so long. They have tried to create a momentum at the top level, but at the lower level, particularly the digital media, to whom they have been trying to control, but they have failed to control. They have made waves in the society that that there is a poverty in the country, inflation is there, and more than 800 million people, they are dependent on the government for the wheat subsidy, or they are being provided wheat directly, which costs the government billions of dollars. So I think this inflation is one of the reason that people do not believe that this system may be delivering. So they are not coming in the number the BJP is expecting. So likely possibility that the other political parties may not, the Congress may not win the seats, but other political parties, they may be in a better position. So the BJP will not be having that kind of favorable situation out of this environment.
Right, your point is well taken, Dr. Cheema. So are there any sort of chances, given the fact, I bring it again and again, the kind of legislative assembly elections outcomes, particularly when we talk about the southern state of Karnataka, it was already ruled by Bharatiya Janata Party. In the recent state legislative assembly elections, the Congress came out victorious. Are there any possible chances for the Congress also this time around to give any sort of surprise when it comes to the Lok Sabha?
Well, I think the state polling is different from the national voting. So what happens at the state level, that is completely different issue. But what happens at the national level, that's completely different. So remember that all these in the northern, particularly in Rajasthan and in all these areas, we do understand that the BJP has won. But in my understanding, I think the national elections, they have a completely different mindset. The debate is different. The discussion is different. Media portrays things different. But in when the state elections are there, the narrative is completely different. So I think what BJP has won in state elections, or they may not win in the general elections.
Right, Dr. Cheema, you already pointed out to a term, vote jihad. Now, there are certain videos which are circulating through the handles of Bharatiya Janata Party on different social media platforms showing and specifically targeting the Congress that perhaps it had been benefiting the Muslim minority in India, to which the Congress has come up with a complaint, registering it with the Election Commission of India, saying that the video has been shared clearly with an intention to wantonly provocative writing and promote enmity between different religions. Now, in the same breath, as you have already mentioned during an interview, Prime Minister Modi has claimed rather, in fact, that they respect Muslims also. Now, regarding the role of and the responsibility of the Election Commission of India, do you think these type of complaints are going to be taken up seriously, and any particular concrete action is going to be taken against the perpetrators or the people who are sharing such type of videos which are focused in creating the divide so openly between different religions?
Well, I think the Election Commission of India is completely compromised. And this is what the other political parties, the Aam Aadmi Party and many other parties are saying there. And even the general public believe that the new people who have been recruited for the position in the Election Commission, they have had their positions for they worked for the BJP in the past, or when they were serving the government in the previous positions, they were inclined to the government. But that is one thing. Secondly, as you are referring to one of the tweets that came from one of the BJP's handle, I think no country will ever or allow such kind of hate speech against the Muslims. But somehow it doesn't seem that the Election Commission or the other state institutions, they can force them. Remember, forget that just handle. The Prime Minister Modi openly said that we will not let the resources of the people of India to go to those who make more children. So they cannot be more hated than these words, where the sitting Prime Minister is speaking like this. So what to expect from the media handle? So and in the past he have said so much. If you remember, there was a movie about the Kerala which was against the Muslims, and Narendra Modi in one of the political rally did mention that movie. So that was a movie that was against the Muslims in Kerala. So the point is that he has been saying it. He has been very vocal in the past. He has been talking, but nobody can question him. Even the media, which is compromised and called Godi media. So to expect it from the Election Commission, I think this is a very this is not, I believe, from them.
Right, Dr. Qamar Cheema, Foreign Affairs expert, joining us on Skype. Thank you very much for taking time out for Views on News tonight. Really appreciate that. Mr. Wani, now specifically talking about Kashmir, we've seen the kind of plight over the decades, on and on and on. But that brutality increased manifold since the revocation of Article 370 and 35A, snatching the autonomy of that particular region. And then the kind of brutality and the reign of terror that was unleashed on the innocent people in Kashmir. How, firstly, the Kashmiris are seeing this general elections in India?
See, the elections in India doesn't make any difference to the people of Kashmir, whether these were held in 2014, 19, or the current elections. Nothing will change for Kashmiris through these elections, because Kashmiris have seen this for decades. This oppression, this suppression, they have seen for decades now. It's now 7 decades they have seen this. More importantly, for the last 3.5 decades, we are continuously seeing the military repression of India, and along with the hatred towards Muslims, towards Kashmiris in India. So I don't think there is much in these elections for the people of Kashmir. But I will tell you one thing, the way we start our discussion, why, when we see the manifesto of the BJP, the election manifesto of the BJP neither mentions Pakistan, nor mentions Muslims directly, nor anything directly. It was thought at that time, perhaps BJP, Modi has come up of the age, because he denied in some cases people who were more hardliners, they were denied the mandate in certain constituencies. It was thought that the Modi at this time, BJP perhaps will go with the development mantra, will go with that the Vishwa Guru, which he said during the G20 session, having that presidency, and then also landing on the moon. It was to be celebrated during the elections, and Modi will go so and so forth, making India the 5th economy of the world, and then in the next 10 years or third largest economy of the world. These were the things we thought that Modi will contest elections on these terms. But unfortunately, during the first phase of elections, it all changed. Everything changed for BJP during the first phase of elections. In the first phase of election, along with the low voting turnout, what was observed, predicted by the some sources in India through different mediums, that BJP is on the losing end. Then the BJP shifted the gears again towards Muslims, towards Pakistan, towards infiltrators and love jihad, and all these things what we see now.
That particularly interesting finding that you've just referred to, that after the first phase, it was deemed that the BJP was on a losing end.
Losing end, yeah.
On what finding? Because
there are no results, but there was a, as we see that predictions in elections, the trajectory of voting which was held in different states.
Okay, so do I understand from this take that the lower turnout actually favors the opposition?
Yeah, there are many things. You see, one thing in India is North-South divide was one thing. North-South divide is evident that in previous elections, also in these elections, we will see the results in North-South divide. And also in North now, BJP faces, now one was the farmers' protest. It was against the BJP, and BJP thought it will harm them. And then there was Rajputs who all had protests against the BJP. We will not vote for the BJP.
And they have a considerable
number of people. They have impact in the north, in the northern India. So these were the things which were some of the the opinion polls which were made, in those opinion polls it was thought that BJP is in
so they were quite different from the opinion polls held before the start of the elections.
Yes, after the voting in first phase, and then BJP changed the gears. Then we saw the first the hate speech by the mighty man himself, the Narendra Singh Modi in Rajasthan, where he called the Muslims the infiltrators, he called them having more children, that Congress is giving the resources to them and that. And then again in Maharashtra, perhaps Madhya Pradesh, another election really, he went so far against he was talking about Mughals, against Sultans, against all those, that how they have and what we have done. So there we saw definitely that BJP having done so much on paper, that we have done this much, that, but what reveals that unemployment rate in India has risen. So the younger generation of India who are feeling unemployment, they are dissatisfied with the performance of the BJP on one hand. So BJP has to again rely upon whom? Upon the voter, upon that voter who is radicalized by the BJP for over these years, and asked him that Muslims are your enemy, you are at the your religion is at threat. So they again tried to appease those and to get their vote. As Qamar Cheema was telling you that the low turnout will favor the others, and that there are lots of chances for that. As we see, the low turnout is because has BJP not been able, as BJP itself said, that people will come to vote us, that we have done so much of development in India, but it didn't happen. Okay. But on the other hand, we are seeing that India alliance is also a fragmented position. That is not also an alliance in that they don't have any common agenda, common thing to do to produce. That is which benefits BJP.
Right. I'll come back to you to take your understanding regarding as to what are the chances of the Congress in particular and the alliance it is actually leading. Now, Dr. Rasool, the low voter turnout, as we have had a discussion with Dr. Cheema also, Mr. Wani is of the view perhaps it might be favoring the opposition. What's your understanding?
If you divide the voters into three main constituencies, one is emotional one, that is the youth. Second is intellect, and third is the women's constituency. In women's constituency, the triple talaq, they were expecting that the triple talaq will favor the woman vote, but that doesn't happen. Number one. Number two, when you are talking about low turnover will favor BJP or the India alliance, I think it will favor BJP, because there is a one concrete reason that on the roads that emotional people are with the BJP, because
and that
the
is
main,
what you said
main constituency, yes, main constituency which buys the hatred against the Muslims or Pakistan or China, that is the youth. And youth, they have whatever if you will analyze the BJP's campaign on the segments, on the different areas, the main focus was the emotionalism of the youth, so they can the gravity of hatred can be raised up to the quantum that they will vote in favor of BJP.
But Mr. Wani is of the view because of the rising unemployment. The younger generation is not happy with the policies of the BJP. So do you think
again there are two policies. Number one is domestic. When Sir Wani was talking about the domestic policy is something different, and internationally what they are talking about, that we have the huge development, now we are the biggest fourth economic engine of the world, but that has not paid to the general public. And that was the alarm when they changed their rhetoric in the second and third phase.
That's the point you agree with Mr. Wani on.
Yeah, exactly.
That they didn't mention anything of that sort in
yes,
the manifesto.
But as far as emotion are concerned, they have no concern with the development module. They think emotionally and they love hatred, particularly against Muslims. That is the core factor why BJP will get the vote of the emotional constituency from the youth, in which the employment factor is dominant, but emotional will participate in the voting.
Okay, so let's talk about this moon landing in particular. What does appeal to the general public more? Is it the creation of job opportunities, more jobs, lesser inflation, more opportunities, or the moon landing but inflation is higher, there is a decline in the rate of employment? Which one appeals more to the voters' conscience when we talk about the case of India?
Actually, you have to go a little bit back. When in 2014, what worked for BJP, they are considering that, and again what worked for BJP in 2019 elections. In both cases, what made the BJP successful was the factor of the hatred against minorities. Now there is a trajectory. If you have to go again little to the history, actually the Muslims have been dominated in economic engine of the India. Now they have been alienated from the economic engine, and that economic engine has been converted towards the Hinduism. That is why that BJP gets the vote from the majority. It is what already Sir Wani was talking about, why they are not talking about their development, why they are not talking what they have gone the moon, because that is not actually on the ground, which has benefited the youth. So that election campaign busted, and they changed their election campaign, and they came back again to 2014 position and 2018 position. Again, when their expectation was that after building the Ram Mandir and inaugurating at the major scale, what will be the impact upon the UP. Actually, what will decide the Indian elections? It will decide UP, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Gujarat, and also the Madhya Pradesh. These are the majority seats. Now you have to see that in Karnataka and the northeast seats, there was a little bit betterment in the provincial. What Sir Wani has already told, that there is a difference, and Cheema Sahab also quoted, there is a difference between the domestic politics and the Indian politics. When you are casting the vote for the provincial assemblies, then the domestic issues are dominant. But when you are casting vote in the Indian context, then the issues change. So same reflection is in the third phase of the elections.
Right, Mr. Wani, if by any chance there happens to be a scenario that the Bharatiya Janata Party gets a setback, so when it comes to the announcement of the elections, and we have seen also Dr. Cheema referred to a very important point also, that Election Commission of India seems to be a compromised entity also. Are there any chances of further post-election result manipulation in order to get the desired outcome as far as BJP is concerned?
You see, looking at the Indian elections in past, when it comes to, we have seen from 1977 onwards, I've seen the Indian elections, there were very little allegations of rigging of elections by the contesting
but what
parties
about
in the Indian.
Doesn't it raise a question on the credibility of the Election Commission of
Yeah,
India
now,
when it comes to the resignation of key figures just before the start of the elections?
I'll come that. Unfortunately, after the BJP's rise in power after 2014, slowly and steadily, each and every organ of the government has been taken over by the radical Hindus, by the radicalists, by the what you call them rightists in India. They have taken these positions, even in army and in each and every figure. That's what is reflected in Indian Election Commission also, in Indian Supreme Court also. It reflected in the Indian Supreme Court's decisions also, have these reflections that they have been taken over by this Hinduta mindset. And that is unfortunate for a country like India, which is deemed to be the biggest democracy in the world, when such a democracy, such a huge population is taken over by such radical elements. It will have a fallback not only for the minorities but also for the majority also. The majority will have to face the consequence of it, because when you leave no room for the minority, I will come to this, when you leave no room for the minority to express themselves. Muslims once treated as the kingmakers in India. They had some very good representation in the parliament. Now in the last parliament we had only 26 members of the Muslim community in the Indian parliament of 543, and just none from the BJP, from the ruling class. There was no one from them, and there was only one from Congress. So it's unfortunate that the big parties, even Congress, is very much, they feel offended while feeding a Muslim candidate anywhere because of the BJP's mantra of Hindutva. So that has taken up the India as a whole, and that has created now a divide in India, slowly and steadily. That is not good for India. That is not good for the neighbors of India. That is not good for even the regional peace, because when you force a huge minority into silence through force, what is left with them? They have to resort to other means of expression. When they resort to those means of expression, then there will be chaos, there will be more and more suppression against them. Then they will have to either to leave the country or take other means, and that will create the regional instability and also instability for India. So it's for the Indians to think that are they going to vote for those who have polluted India, who have now the Indians, what one thing, we for our Kashmir there was never a democracy and that kind. We always take them as they were the occupiers, they will remain the occupiers for Kashmir. But the Indians will have to think for themselves that for whom they are voting. The India is getting condemned at international level. We see that international civil society, international human rights watchdogs, and international personalities are cursing India for being engulfed in such a way, and Indians know that BJP is going to change the constitution, which is their prime objective, to change this constitution from the what they call Republic of India, Democratic Republic of India. It will become the Hindu Republic of India. That's what the Indians will have to think, whether they remain more a pluralistic society or not.
So what are going to be the repercussions when we talk about the fate of Kashmiris post this election?
After this election, you see, the Kashmiris are on the receiving end in all sorts of what is happening there. Whether India Alliance wins or the BJP wins, there is no room for, because nobody has promised to reverse the Article 370 decision, what the 5th of, nobody promises the right to celebration to the people of Kashmir. Nobody promises to release the political leadership of Indian occupied Kashmir caged in Indian jails. Nobody says that they will take away the UAPA from Kashmir. Nobody in this manifesto has said that they will do something. When a country run by such a who has already caged the one of the persons whom he thinks he will challenge him in the north, that is Arvind Kejriwal, he is being put behind the bars for a certain reason, not to think what will happen to the people of Kashmir. The people of Kashmir have to resist. They will have to keep the vigil what is happening. I think they will have to be more vigilant, and they will have to keep the resistance going on against the Indian oppression.
Dr. Rasool, what's going to happen with Kashmiris? What's your understanding? You in your this particular article have described the kind of transition from Hindutva to Moditva, right? So after the hat trick of the Bharatiya Janata Party as the outcome of this election, if that happens, so if they are not taken up by any surprise for that matter, what's going to happen with Kashmiris? We've seen the kind of tactics adopted since the revocation of Article 370 in particular.
What has been election manifesto previously by the BJP, they implemented that election manifesto on the ground, number one. Number two, when they put the map of Mahabharata on the Indian Parliament, it is a clear indicator what BJP, when coming third time in the power, what will be the map of the South Asia. Number three, when you are talking
what
about
would be the map of the South Asia, or what they deemed could be the map of
because they have already published the map. This is the South Asia and this is the Mahabharata.
It on the paper and having something concrete on the ground is a very different ball game together.
Exactly what you have to go, if you have to go little bit again through the past. There have been 13 provinces which were not the part of the India up to 1974. Sikkim was last one which was annexed and occupied by the India, and then it was now it is a province of the India, in which Trivandrum, Mizoram, Goa, Dev, Daman, Pondicherry, Assam, and again this Arunachal Pradesh and the Sikkim. And in the eastern border there was Junagadh, Hyderabad and the Indian occupied Kashmir. And the doctrine or the strategic policy was the same: give them little bit relief in the foreign currency and the currency and communication, give little time, give little political space, and then finally annexed. So there is nothing that you cannot connect those dots easily, what will be going to happen in the periphery. And again, what is the situation of the Bhutan? It is the only in South Asia, it is only Pakistan which has the deterrence, and it will remain as a sovereign nation forever. But what will be the repercussions for those SAARC states which are tiny states and which have not enough power to resist the Bodhitva, which I say this is the Bodhitva, this is the advanced phase of the Hindutva, because they have to go beyond the borders. And indicators are, because in research phenomena, when you are predicting anything, then you are connecting the dots, and those dots in which when you are connecting those dots, you have enough concrete evidence what is the policy when they are bringing change in the trajectory of the Hindutva mechanism.
So what are the options when you talk about that inalienable right to self-determination of the people in Kashmir?
Actually, as Sarwani has already told, whether there was the Congress, there was the complete erosion of the Article 6, that was just a hollow skeleton, and then the BJP just to give the final push to that, and that was an abolition. I think number one, there is possibility that after these elections, these parliamentary elections, there is possibility of the state elections simultaneously. What they will do, that they have the three-pronged strategy. They bifurcated the state into two. They brought the amendment through the parliament and the upper house, and then they consolidated it through the Supreme Court. Now what they will do, they will support the decision of 5th this 2019 through the assembly. It will be their practical objective in the occupied Kashmir. Number two, they will keep pressure on the southern border, so that they will never lose that pressure, which is the human rights violations against our people will continue when Modi will return the power. And number third, their international outlook will remain the same, because they don't care what is going, how India is looked internationally.
One last
they
question.
Just focus on the Indian.
Your point is well taken. Now, unfortunately, we're short of time. One very key aspect: BJP coming into power, doing that hat trick, the political hat trick, the victory in consecutive 3 elections. Any chances on the part of the future Modi-led government to enter into negotiations with Pakistan?
No.
Or the fallout on the Pak-India relations? Because Pakistan has always been desirous of peaceful negotiations to resolve all outstanding issues with all the neighboring countries.
So India will continue to, in its way to escalate the tension in the region by accusing Pakistan, by doing this and that, by like infiltrators and other things. They will continue. But I think they will not, there is no possibility of resumption of talks on behalf of India. India will not initiate such talks with the Pakistan and all that. But what is led for Pakistan? Pakistan will have to continue to keep on telling that Pakistan believes in peace, stability, and in dialogue. That's the only way of going through and to avoid the escalation.
Dr. Rasool, your quick take. 1-2 sentences, quick take regarding this particular aspect. Is there any possibility
they
of the
will be interested in resuming the economic the trade, because it is in favor of India. 1.9 billion was when it was stopped, and against 43 million Pakistani. They will be interested in the trade. Okay. Number one, they will the negotiations, if there is a possibility, as Wani had told.
That was the only dimension they would be considering for resumption of any negotiations or talks with Pakistan. Dr. Waleed Rasool, international relations expert, thank you very much for taking time out. And Mr. Altaf and Wani, Chairman, Kashmir Institute of International Relations and Human Rights, thank you very much for your time also for being with us on the show tonight. Really appreciate that. With that, we come to the end of today's episode. Till the next one, take good care of yourselves.